Hi guys, if you're new here, I'm Areeb and I'm currently in the final year of my PhD at the University of Cambridge. And if you're interested in topics such as university and life tips, but also fashion and grooming, then what are you waiting for? Just hit that subscribe button. And if you're not interested in those topics, then I think you're in the wrong place on the internet. So I wanted to do this video because it's an important time in the academic calendar, and that is the start of university. So given that I've been through freshers twice, once as an undergrad and secondly as a postgraduate, I just wanted to give you some tips and share my experiences of what you should be doing during your freshers week to maximize on this once in a lifetime opportunity. But first, I want to give you a huge congratulations for getting into university during these weird and uncertain times, given that there's a global pandemic taking place. I can only imagine how stressful and daunting this whole situation has been for you all. What I can say is that you finally made it, and now you're about to embark on the next journey in your life, which will literally shape your future. So, tip number one is enjoy this time to its fullest. You've worked hard to get to where you are today. Freshers usually only comes around once in your lifetime, so I highly recommend that you make the most of this opportunity. Be carefree and just do whatever you want to do, because you won't get this time back in your life unless you do a postgraduate degree. But ignoring that scenario, this will be the first and last time you have a freshers week. The second tip is basically go out and meet as many people as possible, but make sure you're doing it in a safe manner. I know it's harder now with the whole COVID situation, and if you do go out and mingle with your fellow freshers or fellow colleagues, make sure you're taking the necessary precautions. I don't want you guys to catch COVID. So I can actually say that some of my closest friends now, like 8 years later, are those that I met during Freshers Week. And in some instances, it's the people that I met on the first day of university, funnily enough, on a boat party on the River Thames. Yeah, so I just want to show you all that the people that you meet during Freshers Week can end up being your lifelong friends down the line. So tip number 3 is familiarize yourself with your surroundings. Going to university typically involves most of you guys moving to a new city. And what I highly recommend you do is just go out there and explore the city. I want you to find your local cafes, your local restaurants, your local gelaterias, because that will prove invaluable down the line when you're like cramming for exams and you want to find the closest coffee shop or the closest bakery. Tip number 4 is join as many societies and clubs as physically possible. Like, I can't emphasize this enough. Learn something new, like learn a new language, learn a new sport, I don't know, a new activity that you never imagined doing before. Just try and do something new, because not only will that diversify you as a person, but it's also something that you can add to your CV 3 years down the line when you're applying for jobs. So whether you want to learn like jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, baking, cooking, chocolate tasting, just go out there and do it. Like, this is the best time in your life, I would say, that you can explore something with no regrets. Like, just do it. You're young, you're full of energy. This is the best time in your life, I would say, to try something new, because you'll notice down the line as you progress through life, things become more hectic and you have a lot more responsibilities. Who knows, like maybe trying taekwondo will be your new full-time hobby, or like it could even turn into your career like 5 years down the line. You never know what can happen in the future, so why not take the opportunity now to just try as many things as physically possible. I mentioned earlier that if you're moving to a new city, you should explore everything in that city and everything in your surroundings. But what you should also be doing is exploring opportunities available to you at your university and within your department, because this is something that I wish I had done earlier in my undergraduate days. Because in the third year of my undergraduate degree, I founded a scheme, or like an international research exchange program between Imperial College and MIT. And I did that because there were no option for someone at Imperial to do an like research placement at MIT or in the US. So had I known that earlier, I would have started this initiative much earlier in my degree. And I think it's a scheme that is still currently going on, which I think is amazing. And I know quite a few people who have been on this exchange program and found it like an eye-opening experience. So yeah, it's never too early to start thinking about your future. Take a small look around and just explore your options and see what's available to you for when you come to applying for jobs and internships and like research placements. So I think we're on tip number 6 now, and what I advise you for this tip is that you try to engage and communicate with your tutors and your teaching assistants, whether that's graduate teaching assistants or undergraduate teaching assistants, but also your lecturers and professors. Even if that involves just becoming a teacher's pet, what I suggest you do is just become besties with your lecturers, your professors, because you never know when those connections will become valuable. Like, let's say you're struggling with an essay or struggling with a report, just having that communication in place from the very early stages of your degree is, I think, invaluable. And sometimes just getting along with your DOS or like your director of undergraduate studies can open up like many opportunities to you later on in your degree. So let's say you're applying for internships or research placements. Sometimes these lecturers, teaching assistants have connections with various institutions or various labs. So meet your peers and network with people at more senior levels in the academic bubble. So the next thing is that going to university is quite a huge stepping stone in your academic life or even just your general life. And you'll soon realize that it's a very different lifestyle to when you did your A-levels. Like, I think there's quite a large proportion of students who end up feeling lost or feeling like out of place when they're doing their degree. And if you're feeling like this, what I suggest is you just basically try and talk with someone, whether that's someone in your degree, someone at a more senior level, so like your director of studies, your tutor, one of your lecturers. Just having someone that you can talk to during your undergraduate degree, I think, is hugely important, because so many students nowadays go through depression, go through anxiety. It can be quite a scary and dark place. But if you don't want to speak to someone in a more professional manner, or someone that you know at university, then just note that my DMs on Instagram or even my emails are open to you. If you want to talk through your experiences or talk through your feelings, just note that this is an open space, it's a safe space, and I'm more than happy to talk with you about what you're going through. And just note that I'm there for you, virtually, of course. So yeah, so just drop me an email or drop me a DM on Instagram and I'll reach out to you if you need some help or need some advice. And of course, everything that you communicate to me will be kept in confidence. I won't share it with anyone. So the last tip is basically just YOLO. Like, this is a motto that I started following and abiding by in the second year of my undergraduate degree. And it's something that I swear by even today. Like, even during my PhD, it's something that I've sworn by and will continue to swear by for the rest of my life, I think. What I mean by this is I was someone who came from a state school and I got 4 A stars in the A-levels. So I was basically the top of the school. Not many people had 4 A stars at A-level. And at Imperial, pretty much everyone has top grades. So I was surrounded by hundreds, if not thousands of people or students who had all A stars at A-level. And to be honest, that was quite overwhelming. It made me slightly stressed because it made me think that I'm no longer the top performer and I now need to perform even more to exceed in my exams. So that made me slightly stressed in my first year. But in my second year, when I started to be more carefree and just YOLO through my degree, what I noticed is I was not stressed at all. And everything became much, much easier because I was not comparing myself to X, Y, and Z. So I think that, along with some other factors, is what allowed me to win multiple awards, scholarships, and basically become in the top 5% and get on the dean's list. So I'm not saying I just dossed around throughout my entire degree, and I'm not telling you to do that because it's a huge part of your life and I don't want you to mess it up. You should definitely be working hard. But what I recommend you do is find what your best way of working is. For me, it's working minimalistically throughout the year and then cramming at the very end when I've got a deadline approaching. But for you, that may not work. So just find out what's best for you and just go with that. So after all that rambling, in short, just don't overstress and just go with the flow and YOLO. So that's it, guys. Those are my top tips for starting university and being a fresher. And I'd love to hear your experiences so far, what you've got up to during your freshers, and for those of you who haven't started yet, what you anticipate on doing during your freshers week. And I'd also love to hear what degrees you guys are doing. So yeah, so just make sure you drop a comment down below and I'll get back to you. In summary, what I recommend you do as a fresher, whether you're an undergrad or postgrad, is join as many societies as possible, try to meet as many people as possible, and just mingle as much as you can. YOLO, of course, but also work hard, but play even harder. Oh, and one more thing. Make sure you wear protection and get tested. I'll leave that to your own interpretation because, yeah, I mean, it can have a double meaning. But in any scenario, make sure you do that, especially as a fresher. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up, but also subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys very, very soon.